Morning, everybody else that is listening. This is Gulf Harbour Radio, ZMH 286, Patricia and David. I'm going to get started because it sounds like conditions for the radio are pretty good at the moment, so let's make the most of them. Conditions on the radio are a lot better than conditions outside here at Gulf Harbour at the moment. It is 15 degrees, and we did have a good day yesterday, so that's the good news. But it is 9 knots from the northwest with drizzle, 1010.1 and dropping on the bar. We did have a tiny little bit of blue sky, but now the cloud has come back and it's fairly grey and dismal looking, which is what we expected today. But everybody was outside yesterday trying to fit in laundry drying and lawn mowing and stuff like that in the one day that we had in between things. Hasn't been exactly a very brilliant spell of weather for the royal visit, but it's been a pretty good one anyway. Everyone's now back to being royal as well. There's the odd damp soul around, but no, it's been a very nice visit. Not too much has come up on yet this morning. Good morning to you, Frank. I see you're going to head out to New Zealand this morning from Newcastle there, so we'll be keeping track of you. Sedna, I am emailing your better half from when I hear you, when we get reported from the Hamnet, which I do, folks. If anyone does report in on the Hamnet, I just send that information if I have the email to your wife or partner or whoever it happens to be. So there you have it. Sedna are arriving in North Minerva this morning. We'll probably wait a couple of days and go with the main crew in the weekend. Okay, a little bit of news for you. We're a little bit tired here actually today, so do excuse us if we hum and ha a bit. We had a night out with our car club last night, and it was way down in Takapuna and didn't start till late, and it was really, really noisy, as restaurants tend to be these days. So it was quite a late night for us, and we could do with a bit more sleep, actually. And just for the benefit of Mesa Troy and Y2K, the, Pastrami, was that what I'm thinking of? No. It's all right. I'll get with it in a moment and try and remember what exactly I was going to report through, particularly to Max, to make him envious. But anyway, let's get on to some news. The aviation experts are suspecting this is the plane that crashed into the sea just after takeoff from Jakarta. It was a new Boeing 777. Crashed into the sea. They are suspecting the probes on the outside of the aircraft may have given misleading info about the altitude and speed. This is the pilot static system, and it can be affected by insects or ice or moisture or whatever. I think it was the problem that the French aircraft a few years ago, I think they'd repainted it and blocked those up and had the same problem, crashed into the sea. You would think that such important things like the probes would certainly be very well looked after, and if they would, then they would immediately put the plane onto manual and fly the damn thing. But anyway, that's what they're looking at the moment as to why the 189 people lost their lives in that crash. A bit of old news again. We all know that Mr. Khashoggi, the Saudi dissident, was in fact killed at the embassy, but now the detail of his killing has come to light. He was evidently strangled when he entered, and then he was dismembered. So, I tell you what, I think I'm going to make sure I never ever walk into a Saudi consulate anywhere in the world, no matter what happens. The big news in New Zealand yesterday, just actually after our net finished yesterday, there was an avalanche on Mount Hicks in the Southern Alps. This is one of the spur mountains leading to a saddle and then to Mount Cook. It's 3,198 metres high, and of course at this time of the year sometimes the snow can be a bit unstable. 3 climbers were going up. 2 of them did not survive. They're all in their 50s. Oh no, I think Joe Morgan might be a little bit older. But the two very professional climbers, they were guides actually, mountain guides, two originally German folk now living in New Zealand, citizenship in New Zealand. They had a avalanche. She dug herself out. It must have been reasonably shallow. She got a hand out and in about half an hour dug herself out and activated her personal locator beacon, and everything swung into action very quickly. Fortunately, the weather was good for the helicopters. So Jo Morgan, she is actually the wife of Gareth Morgan, who started a political party here. They were the parents of the chap that started, young fellow that started Trade Me. He sold it for many millions, and so these two that had invested are very wealthy people. They are quite adventurous. They donate a lot of money to good causes and things. So she survived, but the two guides did not. So that was a bit sad yesterday. But shows you the benefit of these personal locator beacons. It actually worked a little bit under the snow. So the whole saga, when a personal locator beacon goes off here in New Zealand, the signal is picked up in Australia, transferred to the RCC. That's the same RCC that's right next door to, right next door, when I say right next door, I mean through the door, the same building, same floor to Maritime New Zealand. They handle all emergencies, whether on land or sea, and they swung into action very, very quickly. So it could have been a lot worse. Going to the other side of the world now, President Trump, back in the news again. He is absolutely determined to get rid of birthright citizenship. Now that is going to cause a huge battle because it's part of the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, and it's already started a big row between him and House Speaker Ryan, who opposes this. Evidently, Ryan thinks that you cannot do that with an executive order, but Mr. Trump has decided that enough is enough. If you are an illegal citizen, you and come to America to give birth, then your children are not going to be Americans, in his mind. Actually, I think that's pretty fair.
I agree totally.
My husband here
agrees. I absolutely agree.
Okay, all right. So we'll see what that happens.
Just a gimmick.
All right. It does, in fact, bring a lot of people to Australia. So there you are. What else is there from over there? Well, American young people, and this is evidently Generation Z, or Z, as they would say over there. Generation Z, which is people between 15 and 21, evidently have the most mental problems of any group. 37% of people have mental problems versus only 26% for Generation X.
Lack of spanking.
Lack of spanking, says David. 22% only for the baby boomers. Are we baby boomers or are we just ancient now? I think we're ancient and we're older than baby boomers. Okay, so I think if you survive to our age, then you clearly don't have stress unless you have a very late night and are trying to do weather in the morning. All right, but evidently their brain has not developed enough to handle stress. I don't think there would be too many stressed 15 to 21-year-olds out there, but if you have any of those on board, folks, then you better make sure that they're not stressed. So don't send them off into rough weather or make them do watches in the middle of the night or whatever other else makes young people stressed out there on a boat. It was Halloween last night, actually. We weren't home, so I don't know if anybody knocked on our door. It was just as well we weren't home because I'd forgotten about it and didn't have any lollies or sweets or candy, as it's called, around, because if we have candy around, then David gets into it. So I make sure that there isn't any around. So just as well we were not here to open the door last night. There were a couple of people at our table that had left. They really get into Halloween, and they had all sorts of spooky stuff and lights and sort of creepy models that made noises when you passed them. It was absolutely amazing. I didn't think New Zealanders got into it in that way, but they did. So it was quite fun seeing their pictures from all of their grandchildren that came. What else is there? Not much actually. Around the Auckland housing market is a bit slack evidently, so if any of you are arriving and want to spend a minimum of 600,000 to 700,000, or closer to $1 million probably, now is the good time to buy. And something that has been found by researchers working in Australia, evidently the Chinese military, this won't be a surprise, Chinese military researchers have been found working undercover in Western universities. These are universities in Canada, New Zealand, USA, Australia, and so on, working on high-tech weapons, navigation technology, hypersonic missiles, and the like. And evidently these people, they first suspected them because usually these Asian folk want to stay on a bit, but these ones that are undercover evidently go back exactly at the end of their time. I suppose they have to report back and get working on what they've discovered over there in China. Anyway, that probably is of no surprise to anybody. All right, I think that's about it, and I'm going to just see if there's any comments here on streaming. Oh, it's a nice day in Shanghai. I haven't even looked. Oh, yes, it is too. Looking at that. Thank you, Max. And who are we got here?
The trough there.
That's David and Hardy. We talked to you before. So yep, quite a few of you are going to wait if you're in Fiji for the next decent passage. But I'm going to pass the microphone now to David whilst we've still got good propagation, hopefully, and he can do the weather and we can pick up any of you who want to report after that. So we've got a report in from Erie too, by the way. Al is doing rather well. He's at 24, 34 and 152, 43. Going slow to get in at a decent time. He's got 12 knots of northeast, so I guess he's not going to be complaining about that. Okay, here's David.
Okay, good morning, everybody. And yesterday, as you know, we covered pretty much everything you needed to know about whether or not you were going to leave today or not leave or delay until next week or whatever. You know, not a major change from yesterday's surface analysis at all. The three main players are still there. Our high south of French Polynesia, central pressure at the moment is 1031, 1031. That's followed by the complex low pattern that has been over New Zealand. There are three distinct depression centers. A lot of the time on a complex depression, it's hard to discern the exact center of each of the depressions, but now it's very, very clear because they've broadened out a little bit, become a little bit further apart. Now the closest one is just to the east of East Cape, and it's sending a whole series of troughs over the North Island. And as Patricia mentioned, we've got pretty crummy weather right now. It's drizzly at the moment, and of course 100% cloud. And that's thanks to one of those numerous troughs. Now the eastern depression is near the dateline, and that's sending five troughs north over the cruising route between the dateline and 170 west. So quite a bit of activity in that band from south to north. And finally the Tasman High, that's the third of our major players. 1025 millibar. 1025 central pressure. Now by Saturday, this high is going to be a little bit past midway between Australia and New Zealand. And it's going to stay, it'll get a little bit stronger, probably looking at 1028, 1028 millibar. And that is the one that's going to be ridging to the islands, and that's going to be giving us basically our prevailing winds for the passage, for those of you that are going to be underway or are underway. Now the complex low pattern is still separating at this point, but one of them is very, very wound up and located near 35 and 173 west. That's 35 and 173 west. Now looking briefly at the passage winds by tomorrow at 20 south. Southeast winds 15 to 20, not bad at all. But Saturday they'll be rising to 25 knots east-southeast to southeast, depending upon what your exact position is. By Sunday the 4th at 25 south, we'll find the ridge axis. So the high that, or actually both highs that we're talking about, one's ridging one way, with the other is ridging the other way, and that axis is going to be approximately 25 south. So we've got east to east northeast winds on the equatorward side, in other words, north of the axis, and westerlies south of the axis. Now on Monday, if you're down there at about 30 south, we've got essentially westerlies. And by Wednesday, moving along a couple more days, northeast winds from about 30, 170 east, all the way down to New Zealand. And we find there a little minor depression in frontal band, just to the west of this coordinate that I gave you, set of coordinates. Now on Friday the 9th, it looks like northerlies into New Zealand. There's going to be basically a weak to a moderate front, possibly crossing the cruising route at that point, but we'll have to see what that amounts to. Now by Saturday, our Tasman high, and I believe that's the 10th of November, that is nearing New Zealand, still strong, 1028 millibar. The center, I estimate about 36 and 165 east. That's 36 south and 165 east. That'll be about the center of that Tasman high. So it looks like southerly quadrant winds nearing New Zealand, up there at 30 south, east southeast. Now, those of you that are delaying the passage, this being Thursday, one of the days that most of you have picked to get going, others are wanting to go on Monday, and that's the 6th of November, I believe. You should find east-southeast winds for your departure, and by Thursday, cranking that week along a little bit, from the islands down to 25 south, you could expect southeast winds and maybe even east-southeast if you're leaving from New Caledonia. That's not bad. And they'll be in the 15 knot range. The Friday, the run line from Fiji to New Zealand may see fairly light to moderate east-southeast winds all the way down to 30 south. And by Sunday, the 11th, from 20 south to 30 south, I'm giving you a pretty big band of area here, 20 south to 30 south, we're looking at east-southeast winds in the 15 knot range. And that sounds pretty nice, doesn't it? Now, this looks, as I said, great, and that information is essentially from GFS and also the ensemble. GEC, however, looks at things a little bit differently. In fact, it's looking at northeast winds from 30 south to New Zealand, and the next front being in the mid-Tasman. And it's right at that point that EC does a couple of strange things that don't quite look right to me. I'm not going to bother to get into it right now because it's a bit in the future. So this is regarding Monday's departure. And since that's a couple of days off, we'll see after we have a couple more model runs under our belt what is exactly happening there. So those of you that are wanting to go on Monday, just hang fire a bit, and we'll give another report tomorrow and see how things are shaking out for that. Now, if I had to make a guess there, I would say northeast winds for Saturday and Sunday, the 10th and the 11th, with a depression still in the Tasman. So that makes this possibly a doable passage with arrival around the 13th of November, Tuesday. That gives it about 8 days from Fiji, I believe. Okay, that's sort of the summary for what the winds are looking like or may look like. Over to Tonga now, where a trough is affecting Nui Tukatapu, New Potatoes, and its southern edge is bothering Babao. Now, we just got a report of very nice weather in Babao, so apparently there are a lot of breaks. So we can see the breaks right now on the satellite loop, but be advised that that is the southern edge of the trough, whereas the Hapais and Tongatapu simply show scattered cloud on the imagery. Now, airport conditions. These are reports this morning about 6 a.m. Babao, the wind's variable, in other words, coming from all sorts of directions, and that's mainly because it's very light air. It's less than 5 knots. Scattered cloud, of course, due to the proximity of the trough, and the barometer 1016. The Hapais called off southeast 6, scattered cloud, and the barometer there was 1017 at the airport. Tongatapu, southeast 7, and scattered clouds, barometer 1018. Now by lunch, I'm seeing winds out of the southeast in the 15-knot range. About the same tomorrow, but shifting to become southerlies on Saturday, and they might be in the 20-knot range or approaching the 20-knot range. And what else? I have a few tides for you that came in thanks to the site, and the low tide this morning 727, and after lunch today 147. Now Fiji shows scattered cloud on satellite imagery. The trough to the north sticks its southern edge over Vanua Levu, while the rest of Fiji shows simply scattered cloud. So today expect, just a mix of cloud and sun with scattered showers, and they're more apt to be in the afternoon, and this is typical tropics condition. Things heat up. The moisture that's in, particularly in all of the land areas, that moisture is evaporating, and things are atmospheric-wise are getting to the point where we're approaching dew points and a good chance for rain, in other words. Now, the radar this morning shows showers from the Suva area into the southern Koro Sea. Also, quite a few returns over southeast Vanua Levu and the Taveuni area. But the Asawas, Kendavu, the southern Lao, they look pretty good, according to radar. Now, I see winds by lunch pretty much southeast in the 15-knot range, but getting up there for Batui Ra, looking at about 20 knots running through that pass. And also southwest Viti Levu, we're getting at least 20 knots there. That's quite a windy area. In general, the winds do accelerate right there. So when you're passing to and fro, always expect that for that particular area. Now tomorrow, southeast 15 to 20 for all areas. I think favoring the 20-knot range there. And good old Batui Ra, we're looking probably at 25 knots there. And for Vanuatu, scattered cloud, I see rain-bearing cloud over the banks in the Torres, but much nicer to the south. The winds by lunch, in general for the group, southeast 15 to 20, but 25 knots in the extreme north. Now tomorrow, even windier, I think. I see southeast about 20 to 25 up and down the chain. So we'll see if that happens. And that's thanks to the high that's moving across the Tasman. Fair amount of pressure on that high, and winds on the periphery are always a little bit sporty. Now, Newcastle shows a fair amount of cloud, especially in our area, the southern lagoon. Looks like strato Q for the most part, and that's coming in from the southeast to the northwest. That's about the direction of those clouds. Surface winds, southeast in the 15-knot range by lunch, but edging, I think, up to 20 knots later today, And there may even be gusts getting up to 30 in some areas. Some areas just naturally accelerate wind, and that is for those. Now tomorrow, east-southeast about 15 to 20 early, but getting up to 20 by around lunch. And again, gusts look fairly prevalent in the late afternoon, and you could expect up to 30 knots off and on late afternoon. And the winds will probably by Saturday shift to become easterlies. So that's a pretty good direction. Now, that's all I've got for the moment. Tomorrow, being Friday, we'll do a review for the weekend. We'll look once again for those boats that want to leave on Monday, see what has changed regarding model output, and we'll get you advised there. And any questions, I suppose, or comments come now. And here's the Chief.
Yeah, before I open it up, just make sure that if you are single-handers, and we know about David on Anahata and Frank on Another Adventure, please let us know. We like to keep a little bit more attention on the single-handers. So please let me know, and any report I get from you on air, if you haven't checked in on YIT in the morning, I will call you and put it onto YIT for you. And in fact, anybody who can't get, if you are on the YIT site and it's been too rough or something or whatever to put your report on, let me know and I will definitely put it on so that people following you can make sure that they know where you are. All right, and just to reconfirm, our email address is ghradio@extra.co.nz. So we'll be following along, not just with the single-handers, of course, but we do carefully look at you guys. Actually, talking about sending emails from at sea, those folk that are on WinLink, probably a good time before you leave to send a quick thank you to whoever it is that you're using as your SISOP there. They do a wonderful service for the boats free of charge, saves you about $300 US a year if you're otherwise using SailMail. And it is nice for them to know that it is appreciated. It might keep them going for the next year. So just send them off a quick thank you for being there. I'll tell you what, it goes down really well with them. Okay, is there any questions from anybody? This is Gulf Harbour Radio listening. Oh, that one wasn't very clear. Could you come again? Jeez. Okay, I'm going to need a relay on that one. I suspect it's somebody from a built-up area like Denarau, which is a little bit difficult to get a decent signal out from. Could I have a relay from anyone who knows that they have a good signal? Good on you. Thank you, Alison. Go ahead. It's Frank. Yes, I've got that on the YIT site. Thank you, Alison. Yeah, it was a bit, you're obviously still in Noumea, Frank. A little bit hard to copy you. So, yep, we've got you and we'll be following along there. So make sure that that's all okay. So have a good trip. There was somebody else called in while that discussion was going on. Sorry. Could you call again, please? Good morning, Ron and Cheryl. Go ahead, Ron. Well, I'm getting you on and off, Ron. It's not very good this morning. Try again, over. No, just not getting it. No, unfortunately, I'm just not getting that. Boy, it's changing quickly because things were pretty good with everybody at the beginning there. So I'm not getting that. Oh dear, what to do now? Is there anybody else that can give me the question? Just get the question from whoever it was that was asking, and we'll try and answer it. Go ahead, Judy.
I heard Pilgrim saying that the professor was trying to set this. I couldn't hear that.
Oh, thank you. You're booming, and so that's good. Quintessa, boy, we're going to have to do something about that radio of yours, Alan. I wonder where you are. All right, this is going to have to go from Quintessa to Pilgrim, and then Pilgrim, if you could, Ron, just give me where they are would be useful. Quintessa, go ahead with where you are. Over. No, he's there. Well, I'm struggling with your signal, Ron. Actually, yours is not as good as previous years either, so I'm going to go back to Judy to see what Ron had to say, that Alan had to say. Code Blue, go ahead.
I think I need Pilgrim to repeat that. You're quite right, Pilgrim.
Ron, could you repeat, please? Over. God knows where he is.
Let's just say everything's okay.
Well, I suspect that unless we heard back that everything is okay, so we'll just have to leave it there. It's very, very difficult. I don't know where Ron is at the moment. I'm just looking through to see when their last report was, but it's really not a good signal from wherever it is that you are, Ron. So hopefully the radio will be better when you come to leave. But anyway, Alan, I actually did hear a little bit from you, Alan, so we'll know that all is well, at least that you can talk on the radio anyway. All right, is there anything else before I tell David the very good news that Max on Y2K has said that they are going to cook you a very good Italian carbonara when they see us in New Zealand.
Right,
that will cheer you up, won't it? He had a really dreadful carbonara last night. It was oily and horrible.
Oh, it was terrible. One of the worst carbonaras I've ever had. It was, you could lubricate your engine with the thing.
It's all right. Well, we won't carry on. Is there anybody else with anything? I know you're all going to be pretty busy getting organised. Some of you that are going, the New Cal folk, and some of you from Minerva. Anybody else? Okay, Sarani, and you must be pretty close to dealing with customs as well, Alison. Yeah, well done. It sounds like a pretty good passage for you guys that all left. So enjoy arrival. I hope everything goes well with the check-in process, and we'll see you probably in a different boat next year. Over. Okay, thank you, and Judy, thanks for the relays there, and Ron, and we will leave the frequency to you guys. We'll be, if anyone's on the Hamnet, we'll talk to you later in about an hour and a half, and we will leave the frequency to you guys, and those that are on passage, have a good, safe trip. Cheers. Okay, there is someone else trying to check in. Go ahead. It sounds like Code Blue has got you. Oh, and you are in North Minerva, presumably. Are you one of the ones leaving today or waiting? Over.
Which question?
Yeah, I think just to clarify your question, you are going to be waiting, but we're missing the question. Over.
What is Minerva's letter to destination?
Oh, okay. You obviously missed that. We'll repeat now the weather from Minerva to New Zealand. Is that what you wanted? Yes. He's single-handed.
Yeah, I know what you want. It's pretty much what I said yesterday for the Minerva yachts. I didn't see leaving much before Saturday to be a brilliant idea, and the main reason for that are the southerly winds. I believe you've got southerlies now, and they look like it's going to be that way for another day or so. So yesterday I had said leaving Saturday. It may even wind up being Sunday, to be frank with you, but I will cover that as the best I can tomorrow. And I've got all of you in mind, thinking that nobody was going to go until the weekend anyway. So if you could hang fire until tomorrow, we'll get a decent update for you. Over.
I saw three boats depart from Minerva today, which surprised me, but I will certainly check with you and report tomorrow morning.
All right. Now, as you are single-handed, I would like to get the boat name correct. I've got something clear. Could you just spell phonetically the first part? I just seem to be missing it. Over.
Roger, name is Tommy, Yokohama, Alpha, Uniform, Lima, India, November, Echo.
Pauline Claire. Is that correct?
That is affirmative.
Okay. And what's your name?
Lima, Alpha, India, Romeo, Echo.
Oh, Paulaire. Well, okay, Pauline Claire or Leah. Boy, I'm getting this messed up because I clicked the microphone while you were still talking. So I've got Pauline Claire. Just tell me if that is correct.
That is affirmative. Claire starts with Papa, starts with Charlie.
Yep, got that. Thank you. And your name is? Okay, got it all. Thanks, Rob. It's a very clear signal. I just was clicking the microphone and interrupting it, and so I messed it up a bit. All right, so we've got you, and yeah, best to wait for the good weather, seeing as you are single-handing as well. All right, what sort of boat have you got? What boat have you got? What is Pauline Claire? Over.
Pauline is blue forward, 3-9er seat, on deck, single mast, covered roof.
Got it. Thank you. Know that boat. So, alrighty, good boat for single-handed too. And yeah, we'll be in touch for you and the other boats that will be there. There's a couple more arriving this morning, actually. Hope they checked that they've got space for the ones going out to get through the pass. All right, folks. Is there any? I think that was it. And thanks, Judy, for alerting us to that one. Anybody else? No.